I still remember the moment. I was in a meeting, sharing an idea I had put days of thought into, and someone laughed. Not loudly, not aggressively, just enough to plant doubt in the room and worse, in me. No one said a word. No one defended it. And for a brief moment, I felt invisible. But that night, instead of spiraling into anger or shame, I turned to the writings of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. You'll realize there's no need to be racked with anxiety that they hold any particular opinion about you." That was the turning point. If you've ever been disrespected, dismissed, or made to feel small, this video is for you. Not to teach you how to win arguments or assert dominance, but to show you something far more powerful. How to command respect without speaking a word. How to reclaim your dignity in silence. How to walk away with peace instead of pride and still win. Today we'll dive into 5 Stoic strategies that will reshape how you handle disrespect. At work, at home, or anywhere life challenges your worth. You'll learn how to build unshakable presence, how to turn tension into strength, and how to let your actions, not your anger, do the talking. Because in the end, it's not about being respected by others. It's about living in a way that earns your own respect first. Let's begin. Number 1. First impressions matter a lot. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt like you didn't belong before even saying a word? That quiet tension in the air, the way someone glanced over you or didn't bother to stand up when greeting you. You begin to wonder, is it something I did or something I didn't do? First impressions have a silent power, and more often than not, they're not shaped by what we say, but by what we show. The way you carry yourself speaks long before your words ever do. Now, this may sound unfair. How can someone judge our worth in a few seconds? But from a Stoic perspective, this isn't a curse, it's an opportunity. Because while we can't control what others think, we can absolutely control how we show up. Your presence is your philosophy in motion. Stoicism teaches us that our character is revealed not in grand speeches, but in quiet choices. How you enter a room, how you greet someone, how you stand. These are small but powerful moments, and they're completely within your control. When you walk into a space with calm posture, open eye contact, and a grounded presence, you're not just being polite. You're communicating dignity to others, and more importantly, to yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And sometimes, being one starts with a simple act like rising to shake someone's hand. Last month, I was attending a charity fundraiser. I watched as a younger guest, well-dressed and intelligent, remained seated while being introduced to the speaker of the evening. He meant no harm, but his body language spoke volumes. This moment doesn't matter. Contrast that with an older gentleman I observed earlier. He stood slowly, with presence, met every greeting with full attention. He didn't say much, but people remembered him, not for his words, but for his respectful stillness. Imagine you're in a cafe, meeting someone for the first time, maybe a potential client, maybe a friend of a friend. You stay seated, glance up, say hi, and keep scrolling your phone. Or you rise, meet their eyes, smile, and say, "Good to meet you." The difference is just seconds, but the impression lingers. It's like weather. You don't remember every detail of the day, but you remember how it felt. Was it warm, cold, heavy with fog? That's what people remember about you. The emotional atmosphere you create when you show up. For the Stoics, these subtle acts are not superficial. They are rituals of discipline. Opportunities to embody your values in the smallest actions. You may not control how others perceive you, but you can control your posture, your attention, your composure. These are your tools. This is your training. And when you consistently bring presence into small moments, you build something much more powerful than attention. You build quiet respect. So what can you do today? Next time you meet someone, stand up even if it feels awkward. Look them in the eye. Pause your phone. Turn your body toward them. It's not about impressing them. It's about reminding yourself, I am someone who values others and myself. Start small. Your barista, your neighbor, your colleague in the hallway. Practice showing up fully in the smallest encounters. This isn't about performance. It's about presence. Over time, this presence becomes your default, and people will sense it, even if they can't explain it. That's Stoic confidence, not loud, but unmistakable. One deeper habit to build in. Keep a daily reflection journal. Each night, ask yourself, did I carry myself today with intention? Marcus Aurelius did this, and it helped him reign as a wise emperor. It will help you reign over your own life. So next time you walk into a room, who are you going to be? The person who waits to be respected, or the person who walks in already embodying it? Because the truth is, respect doesn't begin with what others think. It begins with how you show up. Number 2, use a calm gaze to handle public interruptions. You want to be respected? Then here's your challenge. The next time someone interrupts you in public, don't raise your voice, don't roll your eyes, don't even say a word. Just look at them, firm, calm, and unshaken. Let your gaze speak. It sounds simple, but you and I both know it's not. We've all been there. You're making a point, maybe even something important, and someone cuts in, loud, careless, maybe even smug. In that split second, your pride is stung. Your ego wants to react, and that's exactly where the challenge begins. Stoicism teaches you. Reaction is a choice. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell you to suppress your emotions. It teaches you to own them. When someone interrupts you, you don't control their behavior, but you absolutely control your response. And in that moment, your greatest weapon is not your voice. It's your stillness. When you pause, look at the person calmly. No sarcasm, no hostility, no fear. You send a message that words can't touch. I am not shaken by your noise. Marcus Aurelius would say, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. Let me tell you about Alex. A friend of mine, Alex, once had a presentation at work, something he spent weeks preparing. Midway through his talk, a senior manager interrupted with a dismissive joke, and everyone in the room chuckled nervously. But Alex didn't crack. He didn't fire back. He simply turned to the manager, looked him in the eye, and paused. No anger, no smile, just calm presence. The room shifted. The laughter died. People leaned in. And when Alex continued, he didn't skip a beat, but now the room was fully listening. It wasn't dominance, it was composure. And from that moment on, no one dared cut him off again. You can do this too. Yes, it takes practice. Yes, it's hard. Your old instincts will scream, say something. Don't let this slide. But don't let your ego steal your power. Because when you react impulsively, you give away control. When you hold your gaze, you keep it. You don't need to embarrass anyone. You don't need to win. You only need to hold the moment long enough to show that you won't be rattled. Can you do that? Because I believe you can. If you've ever bitten your tongue when you wanted to lash out, if you've ever stood your ground in silence instead of losing your temper, then you've already walked the Stoic path. And today, just by listening to this, you're sharpening that discipline. So yes, I'm proud of you. You're building the kind of strength that no one can interrupt. Here's how to apply this in real life. When someone interrupts you next time, don't answer right away. Pause for 3 seconds. Look at them, direct, calm, grounded, no aggression, just presence. Then with a clear and steady tone say, let me finish my thought, then I'll hear you out. This sentence reclaims your space without escalation. It shows others you won't be trampled, but you also won't shout to be heard. And if you're in a group setting, even better, because people notice calm under pressure. And in a noisy world, your silence will echo louder than any argument. Now for a long-term habit, start practicing short pause and look drills. At home, at work, anywhere. When something annoys you, pause and hold eye contact with yourself in the mirror. Train your nervous system to remain steady. Because in public, you'll only perform what you've rehearsed in private. The next time someone interrupts you in public, what will you choose? Will you let their chaos become yours? Or will you stand in the fire with calm eyes and unshaken breath? This isn't just about one moment. It's about building the strength to lead, not by force, but by presence. And I know this. The world listens more carefully to those who don't need to shout. Number 3. Disarm mockery by asking them to repeat the joke. Mockery only hurts when you let it hit your ego. We all know that sting, the forced laugh, the look around the room. The quick shift in posture when someone throws a jab disguised as a joke. It often happens in social settings. A group of colleagues at lunch, an old friend trying to impress the crowd, a sibling during a family gathering, and suddenly, your story becomes their punchline. You're at a friend's birthday dinner. You've just joined the table when someone across from you, smiling too wide, says, "Hey, remember when you tried to start that podcast? That lasted, what, 2 episodes?" People chuckle, some awkwardly, some too eagerly. You feel that familiar heat rise in your chest. Do you laugh it off? Snap back? Pretend not to care? In that split second, what's really being tested isn't your sense of humor. It's your sense of self. What many people miss is how powerful these harmless jokes can be. They're rarely about humor. They're subtle ways of asserting dominance, inviting others to doubt your credibility, often without realizing it. You lose more than your voice in that moment. You lose a small piece of your authority, your presence. And if you retaliate emotionally, you reinforce the very image they tried to create. Someone flustered, unstable, easy to shake. But Stoicism offers a far more elegant response. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And Marcus Aurelius went further. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. The Stoic approach is not to silence the world. It's to build the kind of inner strength that no one can embarrass without your permission. So what can you do? You smile, you pause, and you calmly say, "I didn't quite hear that. Would you mind repeating it?" No sarcasm, no fake politeness, just curiosity, stillness. That one sentence turns the energy upside down. Now, they're the one under the spotlight, forced to repeat a joke that no longer has the weight of surprise or group laughter behind it. Let's contrast. In one situation, Michael gets teased during a work lunch about a failed sales pitch. He quickly fires back, defensive and loud. The room tenses, the mood darkens. Michael feels exposed, and the mocker? They got the reaction they wanted. Now imagine Sarah in the same situation. She's mocked for a startup that didn't work out. She looks at the person, breathes, and says softly, "Say that again? I want to make sure I heard you right." Suddenly, the air changes. The joke loses its bite. People start to feel uncomfortable, not because of confrontation, but because Sarah refused to shrink. That's Stoic elegance. When you calmly ask someone to repeat the joke, you send a message. I'm not here to play emotional games. I don't need to retaliate, but I will not be diminished. This restraint isn't weakness. It's strength under control, the essence of Stoicism. In the end, it's not about winning the room. It's about walking out of the room with your self-respect intact. Try this today. The next time someone makes a sarcastic remark, pause. Don't rush to defend yourself. Just pause and breathe. Then ask, "Could you say that again?" This one question neutralizes the attack. It buys you time. It reclaims your presence. It trains your nervous system to choose stillness over reaction. Another practice. In your evening journal, reflect on moments where you felt triggered. Ask yourself, did I let my ego react, or did I stay centered? This reflection sharpens your awareness and gradually shifts your default response. For a longer-term shift, spend a week observing your reactions to humor, both given and received. Are you participating in mockery to win social points? Are you letting others define the tone of your value? Reclaim that tone. The next time someone tries to make a joke at your expense, will you play along to avoid awkwardness? Or will you master the moment in silence, letting your calm presence speak louder than any comeback? Because in the end, real confidence doesn't clap back. It looks you in the eye and waits. Number 4. Diffuse provocation with a neutral question. Why do certain comments stick in your chest long after the conversation is over? You know the kind. I mean, those veiled jabs, snide remarks, or questions wrapped in judgment, like when someone says, "So, still single," at a family dinner, or "Did you ever finish that degree?" in front of your colleagues. They're not asking because they care. They're provoking, testing you. But the real question is, how will you respond? Let's be honest. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself, lash back, or walk away hurt. And that's perfectly human. You're not alone in that feeling. But Stoicism invites us to respond not from ego, but from clarity. When someone provokes you, Stoicism asks, is this within your control? And the answer is always, your reaction is. You can't control what someone says, You can't control their tone, their timing, or their intention. But you can control the energy you give back. And sometimes the most powerful way to take back that control is deceptively simple. Ask a neutral, unrelated question. Imagine someone takes a jab at you during a meeting. I guess that idea worked, eventually. Instead of biting the hook, you pause, smile slightly, and ask, "By the way, have you tried that new cafe down the street?" It sounds unrelated, but it's not. You've just interrupted their pattern. You've chosen not to be reactive. And in doing so, you've shown the room and yourself that you are unshakable. This technique, though simple, is a perfect example of what Epictetus meant when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because in that moment, you're not trying to win. You're preserving something far more valuable. Your peace of mind. Picture this. You're at a weekend barbecue with extended family. You're catching up with a cousin you haven't seen in years. Then comes the comment, "Still working that job? Thought you'd have moved up by now." You feel your jaw tighten. The moment holds its breath. Now, what if instead of defending your career or explaining your plans, you just said, "Hey, did you see the game last night? Wild finish, huh?" That shift isn't avoidance. It's a deliberate redirection. It says, "I decide where my attention goes. You don't get to shake me." It's like moving your ship away from a storm. Not because you're afraid, but because you don't waste time battling wind you can't control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion." There is never a need to turn things over in your mind that upset you. That doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself, but it means that when a confrontation is rooted in ego or provocation, you can choose to rise above it without letting it pull you down. One person reacts, gets angry, and walks away flustered. Another smiles, stays present, and calmly steers the conversation elsewhere. Who do you remember? Who earns more respect in the long run? Being the loudest doesn't win the room, but being the calmest, that leaves an impression no one forgets. Next time someone tries to poke at you, don't rush to explain or retaliate. Just pause. Ask something simple. "By the way, have you tried that restaurant near here? How was your last trip, by the way? Remind me, where did you say your kids go to school?" This isn't deflection, it's direction. You're guiding the energy instead of absorbing it. Practice this in small ways, at home, at work, even online. Use pauses, eye contact, and neutral transitions to keep your peace intact. And for the long term, develop the habit of daily detachment. When something upsets you, ask, "Is this worth my energy? Or is this an arrow I don't need to catch?" Because in the end, not every battle is worth fighting. Some are better walked around, with a gentle nod and a quiet question. The next time someone pokes at your pride, will you respond on their terms or lead with your own clarity? You don't have to prove yourself to those who provoke you. You just have to protect your peace. And sometimes, all it takes is a simple question to change the course of the conversation and reclaim the moment as your own. Number 5. Walk away to reclaim your self-worth. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is leave, not with a slammed door, not with anger, but with clarity. There are moments in life when staying is no longer a sign of loyalty. It's a sign that you've forgotten your worth. You're sitting in a meeting. You've worked tirelessly on a project, but when it's time to present, your input is brushed aside. You try again, but you're interrupted. Again. Later, someone else echoes your exact point, and they get the credit. You smile politely. You say nothing. You tell yourself, maybe next time they'll see me. But they don't. And somewhere deep inside, your self-respect begins to erode, quietly. What we often fail to notice is that disrespect, when endured too long, becomes internalized. You start doubting your ideas. You shrink your voice. You convince yourself that maybe you deserve the silence. And the longer you stay in that environment, be it a workplace, a friendship, or even a family dynamic, the more you begin to accept crumbs of validation instead of demanding the full meal of mutual respect. But there's a better way. And Stoicism points the path. Bookmark: the Stoic exit isn't escapism, it's mastery. Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Stoicism doesn't glorify walking away impulsively. It teaches you to observe, reflect, and then act, not react. When a space no longer honors your values, When your effort is ignored and your boundaries dismissed, you don't need to stay and prove your worth. You need to remember it. Walking away in the Stoic sense is not a tantrum. It's a declaration of self-ownership. You're not giving up. You're choosing peace over pride. Let's say two professionals, Mia and Josh, are repeatedly overlooked at work. Josh responds by staying quiet, pushing harder, working overtime to gain approval. Over time, he burns out, exhausted, bitter, unseen. Mia, on the other hand, notices the pattern. She speaks up respectfully. Nothing changes. She updates her resume, makes a plan, and transitions to a role where her voice is welcomed. Not because she ran away, but because she recognized that endurance isn't always strength, sometimes it's self-neglect. Bookmark. What this teaches us? It's not weakness to walk away from a place that no longer serves you. It's wisdom. It's knowing the difference between being patient and being diminished. In fact, one of the deepest expressions of Stoicism is having the courage to say, "This does not align with who I'm becoming," and I release it peacefully. Your Stoic strategy for reclaiming self-worth. Here's how to put this into practice. Start by noticing the emotional signals: tightness in your chest, dread before meetings, the urge to remain silent when something feels unfair. These are inner alarms. Don't ignore them. Then take time to reflect, not react. Ask, have I communicated my needs? Is this situation likely to change? Am I compromising my dignity to avoid discomfort? If the answers point toward misalignment, take one small action today. Update your portfolio, schedule a conversation, explore a new path. These are not escapes. They are investments in self-respect. And for the long term, build the habit of self-auditing. Once a month, ask yourself, am I in environments that honor my growth or ones that quietly shrink me? This practice will sharpen your discernment so you only give your energy to places that match your value. Bookmark. So what happens when you walk away? You may lose a title, a seat at the table, or even a familiar routine, but you gain something far more powerful. You return to yourself. And when you walk away with intention, not out of bitterness but clarity, people may not understand. That's okay, because the point isn't to be understood. It's to understand who you are and act accordingly. Now ask yourself this: where in your life have you stayed too long? What are you tolerating today that your future self will regret? And more importantly, what might happen if, just once, you chose yourself and walked away? You might just find the respect you've been waiting for was waiting on you to reclaim it. At the beginning of this video, we asked a simple but powerful question. What do you do when someone disrespects you? Now, by walking through each Stoic principle, we've uncovered that the answer doesn't lie in fighting back, but in standing firm, staying calm, and knowing your worth. From the way you walk into a room to how you respond to mockery, interruptions, and even silent disregard, you've seen that every moment is a chance to command respect without ever demanding it. Because when you live with intention, speak with clarity, and walk away when necessary, you don't just earn respect from others, you earn it from yourself. So here's your challenge. This week, pick just one principle from today's video. Practice it deliberately. Maybe it's holding eye contact. Maybe it's choosing silence. Maybe, finally, it's walking away from a place that no longer deserves you. And if something in today's video resonated with you, let us know. Share your thoughts in the comments below, or simply write, "I liked this video." Your voice helps this community grow and helps us improve future content just for you. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next Stoic lesson that could shift the way you live. Because remember, true strength isn't loud, it's grounded. And the most unshakable person in the room is often the calmest one.